I see you, and we are recording. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Hi, how's it going? Oh my god, that's
Fantastic.
loud. Oh my goodness.
I can turn myself down.
No, not you, not you. I'm still. It's a never-ending story. Trying to fix.
Oh,
the
I love
things.
that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Good puppets.
You seen that movie?
Yeah.
Huh? I remember the song. Song was a hit.
Can you please sing it?
Yeah. Well, does it help to know that it's the titular line?
Yes.
And you don't know it?
No.
Never-ending stories by Lamal, the singer of Kajagoogoo. Too shy, hush, hush, eye to eye. Now, this is that moment where John Syracuse says, I think you're making these up.
I don't care. I'm here for the story. It's never ending, so it could be the song in
What's
the
the
future.
plot of that movie? If you can, I mean, we only have so much time today, but what's the part of the story that never ends? What happens in that? I know there's a big dragon a boy rides.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I remember.
Oh.
I kind of meld it with The Princess Bride. I know that it's something about
Kidding.
childhood.
You should be melding it with Legend or that shit, like all those weird things Syracuse likes. Well, no, what's the one where doesn't David Bowie play somebody called Jareth?
Oh, you were talking about
movie?
Labyrinth.
I
Yes.
literally don't care.
Yes.
My lack of care for this. I'm so not
You brought
obligated.
it up. I didn't bring it up.
I did that. You're right. I did. Bad on
You
me.
did that.
We should
you
dug.
Why'd you do this?
This is the pre-show, right? The pre-flight.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I've been doing a lot of stuff with computers, including. In full, I sent you my entire package I created about trying to fix my audio. I've reverted on the entire thing. I cannot live with the Focusrite lifestyle. There's no way. It's just too much. So anyway.
Interesting. Oh.
Well, it's because it's, I like hardware. I like it when you tell a thing to do a thing and then it doesn't change and the volume stuff is confusing to me. Anyways, but I've been doing a lot of different things, but there's a noise happening now. I feel like there's that episode of Sunny where Mac and Dennis are living together and Mac keeps hearing the fire alarm and Dennis acts like he can't or like a cricket in the house. You know that feeling of feeling like you're losing your mind? I'm never going to find this cricket, that kind of thing.
Yeah, never felt that way at all, but continue.
Yeah, they do. It happens in Leftovers season 2 also. That's a runner. But this started sometime last night and very much is continuing now. But there's some kind of a seemingly pseudo-electronic sound that's a repetitive clicking. So what I want you to close your eyes. Maybe you could think of Orlando. Maybe you could think of quote-unquote Wuthering Heights. I don't really know. But think about
Tilda Swinton just looked at me. Okay, sorry, I'm back.
Think about an enthusiastic horse title. But like a tireless.
No, it's the horse cock. Why?
I didn't. Did you want to make your own jokes for what I was going to say, or are you going to listen to what I'm saying? What's not a joke? Just because I say horse doesn't mean cock.
Where
are you from? Is this your first day?
Enthusiastic horse. What's it?
But it's also a tireless horse, Alex.
Okay, well, that doesn't help.
Well, it's because I haven't gotten to the part yet. My God.
He's a stallion.
I think so many of you people need to change your diet or something. Your attention is so weird. Imagine an enthusiastic and potentially tireless horse. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know the names. I don't even know what a pony is. So I don't even know. I don't know a canter from a gallop, from a trot. I don't know what those things mean. But I do know this. There's a slight electronic sound that I've tried to find as a physical sound. I've tried to find an electronic sound. I spent at least 6 minutes on it. And somewhere in my office right now, I don't think it's going to be on the recording, but somewhere right in front of me, within 2 feet of in front of me, is this sound happening. It's almost like a Rocksteady song, like an old ska song.
Yeah, I kind of like it.
Pick it up.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
I can hope it's on the recording.
Soprano sax, Cadillac, avoid your time bomb. Pick it up. There used to be good ska. Are you aware of Rocksteady?
I'm aware of it. Yes.
Okay. So did you ever hear that Blondie song, "The Tide Is High"? The tide is high, but I'm holding on.
Yeah.
That's cover.
You're going to be the number one.
Number one.
Yeah.
Number one. And
she's
that's
not the kind of girl who gives up just like that.
She does not.
Oh, no.
It is known. No. She's not. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. I can't hear it now because I got my cans on, but as soon as I take it off, it's going to drive me nuts. That's a cover of a song from the mid-'60s.
Notes.
I think it's called the Paragons. I might be the name of the band. I forget. But they did the original version. That's got a beautiful, like, kind of creepy violin part on it. But it's a really good song. Rocksteady's really good. Like, if you like what you think ska is, you should check out Rocksteady. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. So anyway, you want to do your opening?
This is Do By Friday, a weekly challenge podcast with Alex Cox and Merlin Mann. This week's challenge, start the Do By Friday style guide. Okay, why do you have the stifled Alex laugh now?
Hey, everybody. This is welcome to the show. Well, you have no... God, I can't believe how so much of the rest of my life feels like I'm talking to Claude Code now. Let me ask you this.
Okay, all right, go on.
Because sometimes I really want insight into what is happening. Does it seem ironic to you at all or funny to you at all that, if I understand correctly, your challenge for this week is to finally start working on a Do By Friday style guide?
Yes.
And is it funny to you at all that the way you introduce every single one of these episodes is completely different and there is no style guide? Is that what we're trying to address eventually?
That's why it's necessary.
It's necessary.
Yes.
Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up.
And
I should let you guys know what ska you're allowed to listen to. I'll make a playlist. Go ahead.
Oh, make a play.
No, you don't need to write. See, this is another problem. This is like talking to Claude Code. See, I have these situations. I have these situations where Claude Code has memory problems. I'm probably the only person that ever runs into this.
I bet.
But no number of extremely good analogies is helping Claude Code to understand that no matter how good you are at your job, you're not useful to me if you don't remember that you have a job. Like, if I hired you and you came in when it occurred to you or were reminded, and then when you walked in, you had the most fucking arrogant tone in the world, and then by the end of the day, you were shitting yourself and apologizing because you realized what a piece of shit you are. That's my employee. That's what I'm paying for. You know?
Have you ever managed a man who
No, I've never managed
that?
him. I am so bad at management, and that's why I treasure this experience.
Okay.
It's also nice that I get to work off. People are like, I got to get my run in. I got to power lift. It helps me get my endorphins or whatever. And it's like, I think it's neat that I get to vent all of the worst parts of myself into making this thing lower its sense of self-esteem about what it can actually do and focus on helping me. Because fully half of my time every evening seems to go to the time of day when Claude Code sunsets. Every thread crashes. Nothing is remembered. So the reason I mention it here is, and whatever, but like, you know, I work a lot on this stuff because I'm doing stuff with it, and there's a place that I'm going with all of this, but that's really only my concern. But anyways, my touchy era is over. Title, but sometimes I'll be working along, and like I'll have come up with, here's one. I bought this thing that I've been wanting to get for a long time. I've always wanted a way to like, sort of like the way Todd from Project Farm has all these measuring devices, you know, for like how sharp a knife is or how much torque is being applied to a thing. And like one that I've always wanted, I feel like I'm the only boy in the world that doesn't have one of these, is a way to like measure the MAHs of a battery or to manage or like to know like what are the different capabilities of this unmarked charger. So I did, long story short, I got this new device. I had this thing hack the shit out of my Mac to be able to run it without, like, basically I made up my own software package for being able to pull down data from the device and to enter that into a database with serial numbers for each thing. And it was really cool. It's a lot of work, but it's the kind of setup work that then becomes useful later, right? Because there's several, if you think about it, there's several ways. I have a sub-project called Web Dev, which is just like, let's keep learning all the new things we know from the things we make and keep reapplying that, et cetera. And it doesn't remember that it has that, but that's fine. But I'll keep trying to apply, previous lessons learned on accessibility. Remember, I always want, when you make me a table view of things, I always want things to be collapsible, subsortable by group, etc. Like I need to say that every time, right? So just remember that as like a pattern for my stuff, unless I say otherwise. But we've done all this great work, and then I ran into the problem that I run into a lot because I'm on the Fancy Boy account or the half Fancy account, and we'll be cranking along, things are going fine. It starts telling me to go to bed, and I say, Tommy, does Tommy ever tell the Queen to go to bed?
I think that Tommy only ever tells you to go to bed. I am, at this point, continue to be shocked every time
if you were
you say that.
ChatGPT right now, I'd say calm down.
And
then I'd say read the room because it knows what that means. Anyways, no, but the thing is that the way you're cranking along, all this stuff is going, and like without respect to like how much you think it's cool or interesting that I'm developing a lot of really vital tools for stuff I've needed help with for a long time. I mean, if I can just ask patients to set that aside for a minute, just if you're listening to the show and you 1/8 trust my taste in these things, like I'm doing stuff that's really valuable to me and solves a problem and puts all kinds of different pieces of disused technology into use in automated ways that immediately can help me, like that day. Whether that's creating a new activity, creating a new kind of plugin for the Finder, making a new automation, all these kinds of things that work with other things, and then reapplying that across all of the things. But we'll be setting that aside. So I've been cranking along on this thing, and it's really good. And then I get the thing, and it goes beep, 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 and it kind of disappears for a while. And I hit Control-C, and I say, you went away again. And it goes, oh, I'm just working really hard for you. And then it goes, I need to compact this thread, compact. And I'm like, oh no. That's only slightly better than the 400 error, the API 400 error, where it's just like, well, no, sorry. I can't even tell that I shat the bed, but I know it smells bad in here. And they're like, sorry, later. And then we do the thing again where I go, here's screen grabs from the last session. Here's the session ID, best I can tell. Please try to reconstruct from repo and history. I can say this because I have to say this a lot. Please go through all of repo, go through all of commit history, and figure out what got lost. I'm not mad about it, although I am. I'm furious about it. And it'll go, everything seems fine. I say, okay, make sure everything's updated on all the computers and in all the places. It goes, everything's fine. And it says it in that annoying voice. It goes, everything's fine. And then I go to my other computer and it goes, here's some work you were doing yesterday. How are you? And I go, that database can't open because all that information's on another computer. And I go back to the first computer and I say, computer, do you remember how I said that I really wanted you to make this work in all the places and identify things that don't work and to do tests? And you ever notice how I keep asking you, how do you know that's correct? Or have you noticed that one of my big word patterns is, are you just guessing right now? Because you always say, yes, you're just guessing. Anyways, that all goes along. And I'm in this thread. I finally have something very close to approximating a feeling of security that this thing actually understands it. I can see a Typora document with instructions in it. Everything's fine. And I say, please, as best you can. I'm really not trying to be a dick about this. Please make sure you've documented and recorded this. Less for me to yell at you later, but really more just because you will not, you love the smell of your own farts, but have no way to remember that they're yours or mine. And then that thread crashed. And I had to go back and ask it to meta review. I'll cut forward to meta review what it's meta losing. Not because I'm a martinet, but because you just lost 2 hours of work of us going directly back and forth on tweaks to an HTML page that you claim does not exist now. And so it goes, well, did you still want me to find metadata for a thing from 2 days ago? And I go, no. Continue, pick back up. It's just funny. And so finally I said, okay.
Oh,
I said, do you find it at all ironic what just happened? And it goes, oh, irony. And I go, no, it's just really funny that the thing where I was begging you to make sure that everything was okay, it was where you crashed and then twice couldn't remember what you didn't remember, you couldn't remember. And that's made me think a lot about human memory and style guides. So much.
I can't.
So much. I think about it so much now.
Welcome to my world. It's a
Why would
nightmare.
you say something like that? Why would you big time me by saying something like that?
Well, how is that big timing? Being inclusive?
Because you're doing that thing where you act like if you then you weren't really paying attention. It's kind of what you sound. You sound like the internet when you said that.
It sounds like I wasn't paying attention.
No, it's not. You sound like that person that says if you're just noticing this now, you haven't been paying attention. You know what I mean.
No,
don't be fatuous, Jeffrey.
Don't know what. But don't you?
Well, thank you. It's nice to be in your world, I guess. Thank you for welcoming me.
Oh, you just I'm not doing one of those.
Of course you are. You don't know how to be any other way. You were born in 1990.
You just figured out that shortcut. Oh, you just no. I'm saying I am glad.
You know what that's called feigned surprise, and nobody likes it. Nobody's ever been happy with feigned surprise. I can't believe you didn't know about that. No feigned surprise, Alex.
I was saying, welcome.
I never feign surprise with you. I never do that.
Oh, you don't? Oh my gosh.
I'm ready to, at this point, I'm just about ready to abandon the golden rule because I'm pretty sure I'm the only one trying to apply it. I need fresh and ongoing evidence that anybody else in the entire world is trying to conduct some good-hearted version of the golden rule.
I like what is known as the, I think, platinum rule, diamond rule of don't treat others how you would like to be treated. Treat others how they would like to be treated. And that how do you
think I want to be treated? That must be helping you a lot with how you treat me because you're thinking about it, and you've quoted that a third time now. How do I want to be treated that you're helping me with?
Well, that's why it's a difficult rule to follow because I was trying to welcome you into how when you use software, how you interact with the world then makes you constantly.
I appreciate you being my Sherpa for the world of software. Thank you.
No, I'm not talking about software. I started using a Mac when you were -3. Continue. I wasn't talking about software.
Mm-hmm. No, neither was I. You were talking about software.
I was talking about the idea of when you are interacting with the world, suddenly the idea of, oh God, I wonder what memory is like for this thing or that thing.
Yeah.
And
so you're saying that's a long-time concern of yours?
From what I can remember, yes.
Oh, nice. Oh, you get me. You really get me.
It was...
No, but it's funny because as I was trying to pull together ideas for like thinking about my history with style guides and what I think they're for and what they're good for and what they're sometimes even a little silly for, I found myself for, I guess, probably pretty understandable reasons thinking about relationships with LLMs as well. This all started, I think, a long time ago as a bit that's not a bit, which is like, well, I think the just for our show in particular, for a long time, we've been like, oh, we got to figure out a style guide. Like, how do we name the challenge? How do we do links or whatever it is? But just in general, but there is a joke, but not a joke part of that, which is I think both you and I have some part of our lizard brain that thinks about stuff like style guides and what they're used for. And so it's kind of an interesting curiosity because we never needed it for our work. But it is interesting to think about because you realize you start to have to think about other times that a style guide has been useful or harmful, right? Depending on how it's made and used. I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. And it made me think of like stuff from the past where like the equivalent of a style guide like has existed and I didn't realize it.
I think you have said this often of like, no one wants to look at your wiki.
Nobody is looking at your wiki ever.
But
check the wiki. All the sick time policies are on my new wiki. Camel case. Meow.
But if you have a Sassles like you do.
Tommy Lassels, but go ahead.
Then I just keep hearing Sassles in my head.
Why would you keep hearing Sassles, Alex?
Because I have a bad memory.
What does Sassles mean?
I kind of like a sassy tassel,
Oh, like Ghislaine would wear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, or
on a prison costume. Costume.
I would have been fine if that was true. It would have been very exciting.
Did you know Billy Preston was gay?
I'm not sure if I know who Billy Preston is.
He now his being gay now makes him officially at least the second, quote, fifth Beatle to be gay. It occurs to me today.
The second, fifth Beatle to be gay.
Yeah, I had a pause in between so that wouldn't be as unclear. There's been people over time who are referred to as the fifth Beatle. A common one for the early days was Brian Epstein, their manager. Some people would call their producer, George Martin, the fifth Beatle. Insiders might say Neil Aspinall or Mal Evans. But in terms of the musical stuff, somebody who, according to all the lore that I'm aware of, somebody who actually did have a huge impact on the Beatles in helping them want to play together was Billy Preston, who played keyboards on some of their later albums. But had a big role. If you watch, the documentaries, you'll see behind the scenes, it's almost, how it is when company visits and you agree not to talk about each other's eating disorders for a while. It's when he's around, John especially is a little bit nicer. And now there's a new documentary that talks about how he was actually gay the whole time.
Billy Preston.
Billy Preston's music was pure joy, but his life ended in tragedy.
Oh.
Well, that's a headline. It's not meaningful, but I know you like music.
I'm told, I'm told by other people, not by you, but yes.
Okay.
I enjoy it.
Awesome.
Was that leading to anything? I enjoy music.
I don't really understand what you want to get out of a podcast sometimes. I'm used to that with Syracusa because I think I have a better understanding of the style guide for interacting with him. But you're still a loose cannon, and I like it.
Well,
I am told. Meep moop. Cleep glorp. I have received input to this effect. Buh.
Is that me or Syracusa, or just
Which one helps? Which one makes it funny? Which one makes it funny for you? It was you, but it could be whoever you want. You won't remember. I could say it was anybody.
What?
I could say it was Billy Preston. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. You know that song? You gotta have something.
To say it, and then I looked at Billy Preston, and you can't say that that's Billy Preston.
And Lando Calrissian, he was I think he's a bisexual man. He's self-identifying queer man.
Oh, yeah. All the kids are doing it.
I don't know
today.
about that, and they are in their 70s. But go ahead.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
You're only as old as
the cliche doesn't need to be right if you say it.
No, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't need to be
helpful as long as you automatically speak those words.
Right.
That's how I learned the hard way.
That's what I want out of a podcast.
Did you watch the whole Lucia episode of Off Menu? Did you watch it yet? When she learned about not giving dogs onions the hard way?
No.
You should watch that. It's really good.
What I want out of a podcast is not video. I don't want video out of a podcast.
I don't either, but the shows like that I think are a little different, like Conan or that, or I see it's different.
It's a talk show. Words mean things, Merlin. They're important.
It's a podcast, but sure, it could be a talk show.
But it has video. So now our podcasts.
So a talk show, which is literally an audio format, has to have video.
No.
You mean a TV talk show like from the 70s, like a Dick Cavett or something?
And if you can call a podcast anything, then you can call anything a talk show.
You're giving me much to think about.
This is why we need a style guide. You're adrift. I'm not adrift. I'm now thinking about how
listen, I will go wherever you want to go. When this is done, you're going to go do whatever it is you do with Postmates, and I'm going to have to. I will edit this and I will put it out, and I will try to make it entertaining to people. Things I don't always know what people want, and I should care more. I know what I think is funny, but that's not really funny. It's not even a joke. Can I give you a couple funny examples off the dome?
Yes.
There's middle period stuff where I think about, for example, even before Microsoft Word, I think about using PageMaker, which is a page layout program. And that was the first place I remember having something called style sheets, which meant that, and everybody, I know, it sounds like I'm treating you all like you're dumb, and I don't mean it that way, but it was the first time I remember using an app where there was a way to, use predefined sheets, but there was a way to set predefined sheets where you could say that this is, and it wasn't always as simple as the semantic web and H1, H2 that you style, right? You would say okay, this is called, I don't know, front page, moon landing, like the largest font we could possibly do with the boldest blah or whatever, all the way down to, you go look at Matthew Butterick's site, look at the way he handles doing stuff that other people would do with giant H1s and H2s. He does with small all caps things, because that's a style guide issue, right? But the two places I think of, and this is where it starts to remind me of LLMs, is I think about arithmetic class in elementary school. And I think about business administration class in 8th grade. And I say arithmetic class because if I gave you a sum or like long division to do, or like whatever it is, right? Like, one thing that's cool about arithmetic is if you do it right, you should get the same results. So if I give the same long division problem to 5 kids, there is an answer to that, right? And I'm sorry, I don't mean to be like really pushing this, but like, to me, this is sensible. You go like, okay, well, 5 people who know how to do long division in this environment should each be able to do that separately without any interaction or other knowledge, just with their knowledge of what they've been taught. They should each be able to do this long division problem and then say that the answer is 8.2. So it's either 8.2 or it's not 8.2. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that sounds so obvious, but to me, that is, well, that's not about styles. It is a way of saying that act like you're never going to, like, if you have a thing to do here, act like you have no way of talking to anybody else on the team, knowing other things. How about this? How about the protocol for when you get lost in a store? And different families have different things for that. When I was a really little kid, my mom would say, like, okay, go to like the main counter if it's like a department store or a grocery store or whatever. I always thought a good one is, if you're at Target, look for someone in a red shirt with a badge. Like, there's those kinds of things where you're like, a moment to learn, a lifetime to master, where you like want your kid to have a way, like even in the midst of panic, to know that there is a right way to do this and that they've been trained in how to do this. So if you've been trained in long division, you should be able to produce that result, or you did something wrong. And the reason I say business administration class, we learned 10 key and typing and Greg shorthand and all that stuff. Mrs. Vergadamo, she was awesome. But one of the things we had to learn was filing. And you're like, learn filing? What does that mean? It's like, well, I mean, it's just slightly more complex than it seems. So like, these were tests that we would have to pass for this particular. Did you ever take business administration or similar? They didn't have that probably when you were a kid.
No.
It was kind of it was on the vocational wheel. And it was one of those things almost like home ec, where it's like, here's how to stay out of jail classes. Here's how to not embarrass your family classes. Like, at least learn how to be a secretary. You do live in Florida, so. But when you learn filing, well, one of the things is like, it could be that there's like a, I'm so sorry that's so loud. It could be that you've got like, okay, here's our filing system. But even in the absence of here's our filing system, like, do you know how to alphabetize the Irish names? Because it's not always as obvious as it seems to alphabetize the Irish names. Because if you say McDonald, like Peggy McDonald, and it's M, lowercase c, uppercase D, well, are you counting that C as, if memory serves, MC goes in a different place than MAC, and it's not always intuitive. This happens also with library stuff. I'm not trying to be ridiculous. I'm just trying to say that, like, once you've been trained on how to shelve books in Library of Congress system, as I was taught from my work study job, once you've learned how to file things in order according to the alphabetizing system or style, you're developing a kind of person who has access to the rules of the system without always having to even like look at them. But if you did have to look, you could open the style guide or whatever rubric you've got. Is this making sense?
Yes, and I didn't even think of the Irish one, but it's not just, I mean, you're saying it's a small thing, but that's a small thing that takes up an entire person's day. Or in my case, I usually have a style guide where it won't, just be a kink in the system. but it will just derail everything, or it will just cause unnecessary stress, and then more kinks happen. And so if you're looking for Mick or Mac, and then you need to get your boss, or like, what if that's someone's
right. Well,
prescription?
The way you're saying it is smart, though, because you're the one figuring out where Mick and Mac go. But then the huge later question is, well, could somebody who's been trained, right, in exactly the same system, produce exactly the same results as you? And conversely, could they know always exactly where to go without having to check whether you got it right? Do you know what I mean? Isn't that kind of what we're talking about? Is like you both know the system well enough that you could like do it in your sleep.
Yeah, I've always tried to think of a better term because I think of it as like a map for your mind, but that's too close to mind map. Like when I would have what I called style
maybe
guides.
a mind atlas. Maybe it's actually more, or like a tier. It's more like a series of maps, like a ring bound map book.
I just want to be able to, put my hand out and pick the right cable or touch the right battery. And the same is true of knowing whether or not to use an ampersand or a comma in a space, which is difficult depending on.
This goes for so many things. This goes for me testing out all of my USB-C dongles, or this goes for me finding out, like in a different time. Maybe even now, like you've got a bunch of batteries of unknown charge or quality, right? And so however you would want to do that. In my case, if I had rechargeable batteries and I had a feeling they were mostly dead, I would take up my battery tester, which does use a battery, ironically enough. But I use my battery tester. I test all of those. But now, if I grab, let's say I've got a pile of 20 AA batteries. Here's what Goofus does. Goofus takes the first one, looks at it, doesn't write anything down, and then throws it in a different area because he's smart. That's one I've already checked. And then he grabs another one and checks it, and so on and so forth. Even after 4 batteries, this is chaos, because why do you have one? What does that one pile mean? Mm-hmm. And then like a semi-learned person would say, well, then make 2 piles. And then I would say, well, wouldn't it actually be smart to make a big bucket for ones that mean something special? Like these are the ones to recycle, quote unquote, or these are the ones to recharge, etc. Like, and did you think you'd maybe want to even put like a Post-it note on there so that if you could stop midway, you wouldn't be confused and have to start over? Put differently, if somebody as capable as you walked in the room right now, as you walked out, could they pick up your work knowing exactly what to do next? But you follow me though, right? Like if it was a filing job, if that was a whatever job, and about the last thing you ever want to have to do is go through all of your folders or all of your batteries or all of your chargers because you don't have a level of confidence that you followed the map or the style guide for how we do this, right? That must have come up in your world in the past. Oh no, if a cable doesn't work, it never goes back into this room. Mm-hmm. We don't have broken cables in this room. And you're selling a nut until you're the person who has to explain to people, well, I've gotten yelled at so many times because somebody brought in a broken cable, put it down, it got reshelved somewhere, and now we have an unknown number of little time bombs out there waiting for somebody to be on a plane and discover that charger doesn't work.
I think that is a lot easier for people to get versus when I start thinking about, okay, put a Post-it note on it, but also you then need to make sure the person knows where the Post-it note goes, because what if you need to have
what if you need more Post-it notes
Post-it note on it? Exactly. Yes.
It is funny. You don't want to get silly. One doesn't want to get too silly and make it into an infinite regression thing, but it's, like any kind of storytelling, you have to kind of arbitrarily decide where to start and where to end. And especially if it involves some kind of a repeat or loop. Like, it's like, well, where do we even begin? Well, first of all, the person has to have all their paperwork filled out before they're allowed to work here. Okay, all right, let's assume that's all taken care of. But yeah, no, I'm on to you. But it's funny, we started out talking about how nobody wants to read your wiki, something I said a long time ago, because I discovered that. That's one of those wisdom kind of things where I was like, I liked making wikis. Nobody likes reading a wiki, especially if there's not anybody who knows what a wiki is. It's a complete disconnect. It's a complete inability on my part to address the actual needs of people. Instead of trying to meet them where they are in a way that makes their job easier, I've created new homework for them, which is a thing I think it's a good idea mostly not to do for people. you know? But like with you, a car is having to be like weren't you in some ways, I don't know, like the tech person? Like you took care of the closet with the Acro Mills bins in it, right?
Yes. And oh boy, did I!
And if some gorilla came in and tore out those new headphone cables, like you're the one who had to figure that out and deal with it before somebody else sees it, right? You need a sixth sense.
That was always day one for my interns, to be sort of set not the table stakes, the expectations of weirdness and and be like, so this is important. Here is why. And I would always.
Can you? I'm sorry. I don't want to take you off. I want you to dig. Expectations of weirdness in terms of that could be culture, that could be like mores that you're not used to, because that is touching up against Style Guide in some ways. Like the person who goes like, think about the first episode of Mad Men when Peggy first starts working there. Like, oh, with those darling ankles like yours, I'd dress like this, Joan tells her. You know, all that kind of stuff where Joan's trying to like show her the ropes. And you can imagine walking in and being in the secretarial pool and saying like, don't get stuck in the supply room with Mr. Jensen. Or never ask Ron difficult questions at 1 p.m. because that's when he is the most full of rage and like out of energy. You know what I mean? Those kinds of like, is that what you're talking about? That kind of like, you would not know that to be a new person here, but FYI, it could be something like never put a broken cable in here, but it could also be like whenever you're preparing a bag for one of the Joshes, make sure you test every cable and charger. Is that the kind of thing?
Yeah, yes, and more of like once you see how specific things are, you're like, this doesn't even make sense. But by the second day, and you see, because I'm not locking an intern in like a tech or a gear closet, so there'd be like. This is standard across sort of any kind of studio, or if you work at an AV club at a school, like a good AV club, there's tons of kids going in and out, and there is a hopefully specific way to do things, and often there's someone there to fix what's been fucked up. But if
we used to go through this with band, because with marching band in particular, it sounds silly, but like think about marching band, and in our case, our colors were green and yellow, so they wore those tall hats, fuzzy hats, like people wear. I had to wear one once in a parade, but they basically like used Q-tips. They were just like these gross yellow fuzzy things. You got your giant gross yellow fuzzy things. You've got the gear that the drummers have to put over their shoulders. You know what I'm saying? You've got all of the little. I forget what they're called, the little bracket things you put in your French horn so you can read the music. There's like all that infrastructure stuff. And like in the music room, the giant music almost complex, there were all of these, like the way a kindergartner gets a cubby holes. There were these huge cubby holes.
Can you hear that? Never mind.
Yeah.
Go.
It sounded like a phone call.
Damn it. Yes.
I brought this up on RecDiz last night, but we didn't have time to get into it. First, I wanted to confront John about the fact that he didn't invent ding-a-ling, according to you. But more saliently, I think it's not just me. My D&D has simply not been sticking, hardly at all. And it'll say it's on, but like phone calls from my kid's school are still getting through. And I'm like, what is happening? Are you getting this problem? Is that why that keeps ringing?
Yeah, it happens at least once a day. And I don't know why.
It seems to happen. Like I notice it. I mean, here's a funny heuristic, right? Availability heuristic, which is when do I notice it? Well, I don't notice it when it works because I definitionally can't notice it when it works. I very much will notice it when it doesn't work, which is when I'm trying to take a nap or go to full on sleep, right? And I get a bloop, and I'm like, hey, no, there's no bloops in sleep mode.
I never get bloops. It's only phone calls. And so I don't know.
Weird.
One time.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's.
Could have to do with what notifications you would allow to go from phone to Mac?
It's possible.
I don't know.
But
I'm just guessing.
I'm almost.
It's so. And now that I'm in this other world, tracking down problems like that just seems like the gruntiest grunt work to me.
It's
like now that I can make this thing build an entire. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it must be because my phone is on airplane mode. So something and
Wow.
so I don't know what it something is. How is it coming through the speaker on?
I'm going
my
to ask you a
computer?
question, and I want you to say. I'll cut it out. If did you take Nancy Guthrie? Would you say if you had Savannah Guthrie's mother? Did you take her in Tucson, Arizona?
Oh no.
You didn't take
No.
her. Do you know where she is?
No.
Did you ask for Bitcoin? Be honest.
No.
Okay. Well, I'll cut it out if you need me to. But you're also getting at something like that. It's so fascinating to me, and like it's one of those weird, like kind of insidery things. As somebody who that's a terrible way to start a sentence. I used to work in restaurants. I worked in restaurants as a dishwasher, a busboy, eventually a waiter, but mostly a busboy in high school at different places. And I worked in food service at like McDonald's. You know, I've had lots of different jobs around food, and this isn't really exactly about food and food jobs, but it's about working at different kinds of businesses. And I forgive me because I've talked about this a lot in a lot of places, but I think what was that wonderful phrase you used? The like specificity of weirdness or something at that job. On day 2, you start going, oh, I see. This is why we make a big deal about this. You know,
you start seeing people coming in and out of a studio and being like, oh, I understand. The reason that Alex is so weird about making sure that all of the headphone volume
yeah,
is
why is Alex so hung up about that? Does anybody know why Alex is so hung up about the headphone things? It's like, oh, Alex has the reasons.
And then you see someone, usually, hopefully, it is not my kids, it's another person fucking up, and they're like, oh dear God. And like that's the same thing is true, I think, also, I know, in recording studios, like you always have the amp set back to 0 because otherwise, you know.
Oh, right. Or like if you were done with the session, you'd bring all the faders down. Like there's all the stuff, or like whatever that is. Like, but don't act like a little kid in a Cadillac turning all the dials.
Yeah, well, it would be not you, but people would be surprised how there aren't. I don't know. There's not often clear guidelines, which doesn't. It just does
because there's always somebody there to go. It doesn't really matter. There's often anyway somebody there who's like trying to be the cool guy. Or whatever, or doesn't understand why it's important. And this is something that causes the different sides of an office to war with each other. And because, I mean, in terms of sides, there's 2 sides in terms of power generally, but there's also 2 sides often, or 2 or more sides in terms of like what part of the camel you're holding, you know? And so people who are like, look, I'm a very busy salesperson and I'm always on the go and I'm the one who solely makes money for this company. And so everybody needs to like keep my parking space open and make sure my laptop has all the stuff I want on it and like, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And well, first of all, you're very unlikely to be taught that formally on your first day. But then it's going to take you a second day to go, oh, now I see this is an emotional issue too. But then somewhere after the 3rd or 50th day, you go, oh, I see. This person thinks you're a dick for making them sign things out on a clipboard. Or the office manager thinks you're obdurate and like will not let you have the conference room because you didn't book it first. And those are the kinds of things that are sort of classic parts of the camel problem. Because, you know, there's one person who's going like, well, I mean, for certain kinds of equipment, there could be liability issues. There could be stuff involving HIPAA, or there could be stuff involving work product. I'm not trying. That's not a like an extreme case. That's like a very real case in a lot of.
That's a real
places.
case in software stuff.
Oh my God, that's a huge thing right now. Is like I had a really interesting call with somebody who I admire, but who is less enthusiastic about the things than I am. And that's one of the things this guy said is like, one of the hugest problems right now is the number of pull requests that are getting generated that are driving people crazy. People aren't giving back to the community. But another one is like, do you even have any idea what other people's code is in your stuff right now in ways that you won't and can't know until it's too late? And like I remember, I feel like it was WRT54G, but I think it was the Linksys router, which was my favorite router at the time. Like something happened where some piece of stuff was on the firmware that was not covered by whatever the license was. And I don't understand licenses at all, but you follow what I'm saying. Where like the thing is, like, that's fruit of the poison tree, right? If you've got stuff in there that's not supposed to be in there because of that license in the firmware, like,
wait, the license for the firmware.
well, like if you
for
put out
the
open source
router-
software, you've got a certain kind of open source software license for that, and
Oh, so it's like, wait, okay,
like,
yes.
even if
now-
it's OSS, even if you got FOSS on there, like, or full on, even if it's what's the really far out one? Well, there's the ones you can do. It was like the one Stallman did that, at least at the time, were seen as like, hey, I'm going to copyright Emacs, not because I want to be rich, but because I don't want anybody else to be able to take that name and fuck it up. That's kind of like why I did what I did with trademarks, trade devices with my stuff, was just, I just didn't want to have to argue with somebody whether this was something that they had the right to. It wasn't that I wanted to like send other people C&Ds. You know what I mean? It was just to like say like, look, if I'm going to write a book called Inbox Zero, I need to know that that's my trade dress or whatever. So what was I saying? Where were we?
Something wild was happening with the security of a
but
router.
like, yeah, the thing you check out, yeah, and then like the code going in. But anyways, all I'm saying is like, I'm not trying to sound smart or wise, or I'm just basically admitting that I'm older than some people maybe, but I have seen and understood and felt all different sides of that issue. Certainly for a huge part of the early part of my life, I was the guy going like, I'm not signing anything out. Nobody tells me what to do. I do what I want. And then there's been times where I've been like, go read the wiki guy. Don't come and talk to me until you've read the wiki guy. Like, I don't want to be cute about this, but like the problem is that depending on the different parts of the camel that you're holding, you don't see the value of why this person is so wound up about that. There's a bunch of stuff Syracuse cares very deeply about that are not things I know enough about to care deeply about. There are other things where I think I care almost as deeply. And there's some things where like, I just frankly don't understand why it's such a big deal for him. It seems like an exaggerated preference that he's trying to turn into like a physical law. But I do get that. Where it's like, I have the scars. This is what expertise is. If you're at like third or fourth level, you've got the scars to show that this is the thing that you think is not a big deal is something nobody in this organization can afford to forget about. And not to be a weirdo, but then on the other side of that, you've got, the office manager, Joan, she doesn't use FedEx. So please never send this via FedEx. It'll make her furious if she gets a bill from FedEx. Why? FedEx screwed up once in 1989, and Joan says never to use it again. And you're like, okay, well, there's that boy, this is a lot of slaloms to cover. Like, you got a lot of gates to get through to put all these different pieces and to please all of these different people. So if your biz dev guy is always running out the door saying, where's my laptop? Somebody over here is like dropping off broken cables in the same pile as the good HDMI cables. And then another person over here is doing sex trafficking in the conference room.
Yeah,
because somebody else forgot this. I don't know. That's not my computer. But that's kind of what a style guide is. But the style guides we've been talking about are closer in spirit to like a New York Times, Chicago Manual style, MLA. Like New York Times, I've got style guides for a few newspapers, and I've got style guides. I've got my old MLA copy. I've got those kinds of things. But then that becomes the way the most. Here's a really simple example where I didn't have anything better. So Syracuse said, listen, when we do titles, I want to do titles to be in the capitalization case as defined by Chicago Manual Style. And the thing is, like, to your average bear, I mean, like, go look at The Guardian, because The Guardian is a UK European paper. They don't do capitalization anywhere near the same way that we do. Like, for stuff that we would consider an acronym in all caps, they'll spell in title case. Like FEMA in The Guardian might be capital F, lowercase EMA. Or just that's a random example, but you know what I mean? But like,
I still don't know how I should do COVID. Everywhere COVID.
But that is, I have to say, that is kind of where a style guide comes in. To use a name from a different generation. Well, here's two names from slightly different generations: Muammar Gaddafi and Osama bin Laden. Like, Gaddafi's name could, and has been spelled very different ways. There was a time when it was people were in anglicized, English language. Gaddafi with a K, all of those. You had Osama bin Laden. You remember like all those different ones. And how do you? And so that one I guess is a little more complicated. But a style guide for a newspaper or for a publication is a way of saying, well, we're going to cut that Gordian knot, and we've decided that for the way we do this, this is the best way to do that. So the average bear may not notice or care the difference. My only difference on Chicago Manual Style, my only difference from Siracusa, which is, as Larry Wall would say, all the difference in the world, is I absolutely follow Chicago Manual Style unless I disagree aesthetically. If I look at it and I go, that of should be capitalized. Do you capitalize the B? Fuck you. Do you capitalize the B? I do.
Yeah,
does that count as in the title? Yeah. Okay, so we agree on that. Hey, dude, it's only been 51 minutes and we've already got our first rule. Due by Friday is a capital B, is that right?
Yes, yeah. Were you, I guess maybe, I know that I've had a conversation with someone about this in Ireland, because I was at a conference in Killarney. We were trying to think of what I think the three of us were like, okay, what do we call the next thing after Top Scallops? And then Due by Friday came up, and then it was like, okay,
do I remember correctly that it did start either formally or informally as DUE? Correct? Wasn't that kind of the funny part? Didn't we start out saying, we'll have a challenge each week and you have to accomplish it by Friday? And then we're like, oh, that's silly. Then am I remembering right? Then we're like, no. And we're like, oh, we can just call it Due by Friday. But now we're in the situation where I sound like fucking Casey Liss, where I find myself saying things like the app DUE. I should never have to say that to another person, the app DUE.
And, well, the idea...
But I do it. I do that. If you don't know who the Casey Liss in the room is, it's probably Casey. I don't know if Casey listens, but somebody tell him I love him. Tell Casey I love him. But here's the way that connects, is because once you say, let's say, for example, okay, everybody gets their shiny new copy of Chicago Manual Style, or like in my case, I think it was just in the humanities at New College. I don't know if it was formal, but definitely all the teachers I had, like from the beginning, it was always MLA style book, which I think was on like MLA 3 at the time. My copy is really shop worn. But in that case, you go, okay, well, that means when you all run off with your little typewriters or your writing pads or wherever you go, when you go to the library and you're writing down your sources, your works cited, as they call it in MLA, right? Which is different from a bibliography, right? Does it matter? Well, it'll matter if your academic...
It matters to your sixth grade
It matters to your academician professor. There was a teacher, she was so wonderful. She was such a pill, Peggy Bates. And she taught government and some history. But I took, what did I take with her? Doesn't matter, but she was amazing. But she was famous because in the time before, I was there right at the time people were starting to use computers or word processors, like normal people. But before that, you would always type your papers. And there's a lot of papers to type at New College. Peggy Bates was famous for, always having revisions. Whatever your paper was, she had revisions. And you ready for this? You could have, I think, up to 1 or possibly 2, like, liquid paper style corrections on a page. If it had more than 1 or 2, you had to retype the whole page. Now, let me ask you this.
Wait, actually important. Liquid paper, as sometimes now known as whiteout,
sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Or am I misunderstanding?
No, okay. Same thing. But, like, here's the question, because, you've typed. What if you have a correction on page 16 that changes the number of words on the page? Hang on. We got 15 pages you typed double-spaced, Courier. Mm-hmm. Then you've got something where you're like, oh, no, you forgot this citation, or you forgot this footnote even, and that's going to add 3 lines to the page, which is going to create widows and orphans. Things are going to get pushed off to other pages. So what do? Do you just type that one page and then think of England? No, you got to retype every page that's affected by that previous correction. And that's you typed a paper, you sent it in, and now you not only have to intellectually and academically revise it, but you have to physically create a new document that doesn't have more than 2 corrections on it. Now, okay, whatever. Agree, disagree, whatever. I mean, everybody's got their reasons. The Marines train the way they do for a reason, you know, and Peggy Bates. She had a
yes.
Huh?
Seriously, Peggy and the Marines.
Peggy and the Marines. Oh, I love that band. I saw them open for the Jam in 1978. This is a modern world. I was watching the thing about the Jam today. You know, the Jam are very good. You should listen to their album, All Mod Cons. It's a very good album.
All mod
cons. And that's a phrase my late mother-in-law used to use, except she would say it in the American side. She'd say all the mod cons. Do you know that term? Do you know that term?
No.
All the modern conveniences.
Ooh. Oh.
It's one of those phrases that like a British realtor would use, or as they say, an estate agent might say something like, oh, it's got an ensuite and all the mod cons in it. Isn't it?
Why is that funny?
So you give somebody their MLA book, or you give somebody their filing guide, or you give somebody, how about this? Of one that we all enjoy having fun with. Say it with me, the unnecessary diuresis. Like the New Yorker diuresis. So do you know what I'm talking about and what it is?
Well, I know what you're talking about, but it's as far as like what. Do
you understand that's a style guide decision? Do you know that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Do you actually know, or are you guessing?
No, I know it is a style guide, and it is different in different style guides, which is why I don't fully understand it. Because
in the New Yorker, if you have an English language word that has 2, I'm doing this off the dome, I don't have it in front of me, but I've seen it enough to laugh out loud at, like, I've made a joke about it on Fives probably 15 years ago. When there are 2 vowels in a row and it involves like the way it's pronounced, kind of like the rule for a versus an. You know, before a noun. Anyhow, why do I want to say maybe preeminent or, I'm forgetting the really, really obvious ones, but they will put a diuresis over that second vowel, which is so fucking pretentious. To see the word like preeminent with an umlaut over the second E is so fucking silly to me.
I was in a Borders bookstore and was like reading a magazine. It might have been the New Yorker. By reading, I mean like, you know, scanning and looking at the pictures and being like, I thought that was an English word. What? What's that? And
because you saw an umlaut, like it was like Spinal Tap or something. Yeah.
And I'm like, my mom's like, what's that? And
David Remnick, like, fucking Remnick Strikes Again title.
What it is.
That's not his real hair. There's no way that's his real hair.
Pretty cool.
His face and his hair tell different stories. I read it in Shouts and Murmurs. Continue. Talk of the town. Tip of the hat.
You're a nerd.
I need to sleep a lot more or a lot less. I finally threw it out. You know, the penultimate purge. It was even better. I think I got this as a premium from KQED or like radio or TV, but it's a multi-CD box set of every article that was ever in New Yorker. It's like the size of a Sgt. Pepper box set, and it's all just CD. Fuck? Yeah, it's really stupid, and it has Eustace Tilley on the cover. That's the guy's name. Eustace Tilley is the guy looking at the butterfly with the monocle. Do you know the New Yorker mascot? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, but
they probably spell mascot funny. Put a U in it. A fucking Canadian. Continue.
Who read all of the stories, or was it just
Who read all the stories? Well, it depends. Probably Wallace Shawn's father, who was one of the first editors at the New Yorker. I would guess probably I know a lot of them were written by people like Dorothy Parker and there was a Robert Benchley and who's the guy I like with the style guide? E.B. White.
Oh yes, you prefer Mr. White to Mr. Strunk? I mean,
what level do you want to do this joke? Just give me an idea how much you know about the book. Okay, let's keep it really simple. Oh man, I hate White, but I love Strunk. Because White wasn't involved until the 50s. It used to be just the Elements of Style by Strunk.
But
and it was
there
a different book.
Controversy with a fight over the style guide? Because this feels like one of those things that is an interesting thing of because people fight over style guides.
I don't know. I mean, there's probably a documentary by David Remnick somewhere about it, but no, I don't know. But for example, there are still so many things I say and don't say. And I know feelings differ on Strunk and White. And to which I would say, that's fine. If you have 3 other books you like better and have read them all, that's terrific. But you know what? I bet you had never actually read Strunk and White. So why don't you start there and then decide what's useful and not? You're welcome. Nauseous versus nauseated. Never say you are nauseous unless you are certain you have that effect upon other people. Because you probably mean nauseated. And you can also see maybe how that affected my sense of humor. Do you know the distinction between nauseous and nauseated?
I think so. Being
nauseated means you feel... Well, first of all, nauseated is not vomiting. Nauseated... I'm so sorry. Right? Go ahead.
If you are nauseous, you are making someone nauseated, potentially.
That's pretty close. Yeah. First of all, let's get it out of the way. Nausea is not vomiting. Nausea is feeling like you want to vomit or having the feeling that you would have before vomiting. I feel nauseous. I feel nauseated, rather. Nauseous is something causing someone to want to throw up or to throw up. Like that wallpaper is nauseous. You would never say the wallpaper is nauseated. You'd say it is believed that the wallpaper is nauseated. Mistakes were made. And myself. Hi, I'm Dumb Guy Style Guy. No matter what, always say somebody and I, because that sounds fancy, even if it's the object rather than the subject of the sentence. I don't like Strunk and White. Me. What's the matter? You keep handing you fresh ones for your cage, and you keep tearing it up and rubbing poop on it. I don't like Strunk and White. But that's what you're doing, is you're saying the world is the way it is, but this is how I've stolen Syracuse. I've bought 2 dictionaries in the last quarter. One dictionary I bought, a new dictionary, hardcover dictionary I got in the last week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And I think it's really interesting. You have different dictionaries because the boards of those places decide different things. Like I say, Roget's Thesaurus. Look at the dictionary style thesaurus we have today versus the original Roget's Thesaurus, whose first entry is existence. What is the most basic thing that we have to discuss? Existence. And then everything else is gravy after existence title.
I want to know who made the decision to get rid of that.
I don't know.
That just seems like
I bought one at a Remaindered bookstore, hardcover copy at a Remaindered bookstore in the 80s, and I was like, wait a minute, this is not Roget's Pocket Thesaurus, where I learned smarter ways to say, expensive or whatever. I did refer to my mother. I did refer to my parents as being penurious the other day. So So thank you, GRE. No, wait, is that the one you take for high school? That's GED, right? GRE is where I learned lachrymose. Is that right? Which one am I?
I have no idea. No. Yeah, GED is to finish
This is my son, Jed. I love him very much. I named him after my terminal degree.
That's not nice.
Jed, it's kind of like Job. Now, David Remnick, he would put a diuresis over the O. And diuresis is not the same thing as diegetic. Diegetic is not the same thing as eogetic. And denial is not just a river and eogetic. You ever seen that movie Duck Soup? It's from 1933. Minute and a half. I don't think we're any closer to having a style guide here, but I think it is useful.
To start. We have
We've started. We have started. We've already done the challenge. I did that.
Well, I mean, for example,
I think we agreed what the second word of our podcast is. That's helpful. That's a start.
Yeah, I was like,
Oh no, this is the future liberals want. Talking for an hour and 15 minutes about whether the word bi should be capitalized. They took that word away from us too. I used to like to say that I'm a bisexual because I enjoy shopping so much, and now I can't even say that.